Welcome back to another episode of Talking Balls Steveospeak, first one in season. We're going to get into some underdog drafts shortly, definitely talking some of the latest news. Also, I will be on with Who Hames on his channel at 3 p.m. talking every game. So we'll save some of the deeper conversation about particular games and stuff then, but definitely a lot of news, a lot of injury news. Let me hit up chat first, and then we will jump into some underdog drafts. Speaking of Who Hames, we got him here saying, "Sup, fam?" Kick saying, "I missed the Talking Ball series. Glad you're bringing it back. Appreciate it, Kicks. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to do this at least every Tuesday. I'm not sure if we'll add any more during the week. You go there. Arizona Cards. Charles is asking, are you more excited about Scadaboo or more in pain from Neighbors? I mean, obviously, I'm more Scadaboo than Neighbors, so a decent amount of Neighbors, roughly 8 to 10%, depending on the tournament and when. But Scadaboo is over 20% everything. So, but I kind of thought the Scadaboo thing would happen regardless, Tracy or no Tracy. So definitely sad about Neighbors. It's very unfortunate, and in some ways, while Scadaboo will probably get a little bit more usage, that offense just won't be as good without Neighbors. So it could actually limit Scadaboo in some ways. We got our guy Mike Robin here saying some lunchtime Steve. Yes, it's okay if the glass is half empty. We got Kicks. What are your thoughts on Mason Taylor for my FFPC season-long team? Tight end premium scoring right now. I have Ertz and Hawkinson. I think Taylor's fine. As we saw last night, they got him the ball more. I think he is going to end up developing into the number 2 or number 3 target in this offense, him or Breece Hall. The Ertz and Hawkinson are just likely on more higher passing volume teams, especially having Jane Daniels come back. Now when J.J. McCarthy comes back, maybe that's a knock on Hawkinson. Part of the issue is I'd have to look what Fields ended up with, but he had maybe 26 passing attempts last night in a game where they were getting destroyed all night. Maybe it got up to 28. I can't remember the exact number. But even week 1 very competitive game against the Steelers, I think he had 21 or 22. So it's just going to be limited all around. Like, he's not going to have 35 passing attempt games, and then he's just not the most accurate passer on top of that. But still, I think Taylor's fine. I mean, I definitely like him more in a best ball style where you get the good and you don't have to worry about the games where he goes out and only has like 2 catches for 15 yards. But that's kind of the nature of the tight end beast. I mean, we saw that Ertz should have been a plus game for him against the Falcons, only had a couple catches. We got Disbanded in here with Dodd. Hope you're doing well, Disbanded. We got our guy Eddie in here saying he got a slight bump in advance percentage. Good. That's always good to see. We got my sister in here saying, "Hey, brother, Underdog Dailies. Love to see it. This week, Dailies been kicking my ass." And yes, the Tyreek Hill injury, definitely the big one. That in Neighbors, of course, but Hill, honestly, particularly later in his career like this, it very well could be career-ending. So it's very sad from that perspective because, love him or hate him, all the antics, all the off-the-field stuff, yes, there's all that, but he was a tremendous player at his height and, was definitely a fantasy gold mine as well. Paul saying 22 less advancing BBMs than last week. This guy's over here. Sorry about that, Paul. I need you. You're in my my Justin Herzig lineup, and definitely need you to carry it versus some other guys. I believe I looked of the 6 players. I think I'm advancing more BBMs than 3 of them, and I only did 80 teams, so not ideal. The Gale asking with Lamar out, do you like Derrick Henry more now? I think he'll get more carries. I think they just won't be able to. They'll have to. Now, the tough thing is, partly why we liked Henry so much is because defenses couldn't key in on him. Defenses will key on him more. I just don't think we'll see like the, 160-yard 2 touchdown games like we were seeing last year. It's just kind of, it's tough. But I do think in general his floor will probably be raised because they just can't rely on the passing game. They can't rely on Lamar. So yeah, I think his floor is raised, his ceiling is probably a little lower, but you'll probably get more usable weeks out of him. I mean, he probably should have been getting more usable weeks as it was, but I don't think we'll see games where he's getting 8 to 10 touches anymore. I think they'll have to be giving him 15 carries a game. Especially, they're going to try and keep these games close, slow these games down. Meg saying, "You're right all basketball season about the Jets being such a low volume passing offense." Fields had 27 attempts. Yeah, so it was 27. That's what I mean. Like, how is that not 30 something? How is that not 40 with how much they're behind all game? Would you guess Sean Alexander CX rate is more kids than? I would not. I would not have guessed that. That is interesting. All right, let's start with the Wildcat before we get into Battle Royale. And we'll definitely do at least one night slate. And we'll talk about things as we go through. Do need to update my rankings. The Lamar news just came out that he's probably missing a couple weeks. I had him in my early rankings for this. Wasn't really drafting him. I pushed him down. So I've only done Wildcats so far. Usually I like to start just doing the Wildcats. And I did finish 40th last week in the Wildcat. Almost got there. I need a little bit more Roma Dunze. Would have been a really, really fun run out. And speaking of, Fields and last night, if you told us, and we had Huheems in here, I didn't even count it down. So not sure if you wanted to be in here with us, but Huheems is in here. And so sorry for not counting down. I'll count down the next ones. But last night we made a couple official bets, hit those. Dobbins over 70. He got the hundo. Garrett Wilson, I think it was over 70. He got there on the last crazy play of the game. Didn't think we'd get there because Fields, for whatever reason, was not targeting him more, and they were not finding more ways to scheme him up. But we came close to a pretty big, crazy lotto. I mean, it did involve Mike Gesicki getting 30 yards, but he was open. He was open a lot. Jake Browning couldn't get him the ball. Jake Browning couldn't get anyone the ball. And then we need Cortland Sutton to get 100 yards. He had 81 at halftime with the touchdown, and that's where it ended for him because they kept throwing, but unfortunately no more to Sutton. And unfortunately, I need one more point from Sutton to I did advance 3 of my 4 eliminators. I need one more point to go 4 for 4 last night. So that would have been fun. Let's see. So for me, I do kind of think the top 5 players, any way you order them, I prefer them. So basically, anytime I have a top 5 pick, I'm taking one of these 5 guys. I'll go Amon-Ra. I think I already have more Hampton than Amon-Ra, so let's just balance it out. I think it's very close between those two. Quarterback is very interesting this week, particularly with the Lamar news. It's thinned out quite a bit. We're likely to get Jaden Daniels back, but we will have to see for sure on that. That's not 100% clear. So yeah, that will be. I probably won't be taking much Jaden Daniels until later in the week for that reason. Breeze to the moon, away news. Yeah, that Braylon is another one. Probably banged up, probably missing this week. He's definitely running back's actually kind of strong this week, to be honest. I think Henry's fine. Barkley, it's a tough matchup, but I still trust Barkley. He's getting such good volume. Scadaboo and Genty are in great spots. Breece Hall's in a great spot. Honestly, Javonte is probably in a really good spot with, especially with Miles Sanders banged up. Bucky Irving's one we need to wait on injury on. I don't think they've announced anything yet. They were doing an MRI yesterday, so I have him lower in these ranks. Another one I probably won't be taking. If he is out, I think Rashard White's very playable, even in this format. Definitely for like DFS. As much as I question Garrett Wilson, he does have 3 games of 80 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, the targets are high. I mean, he's gotten at least 8 targets every game. He's gained a massive target share. It's capped because the quarterback play is not great. And you know, like I said, they're never going to throw 35 targets, right? And we'll just see. Garrett Wilson does go. I'll take Pickens. You know, this is the other thing. The Jets defense as a whole, I know they're missing Quincy Williams, but the Jets defense as a whole is not looking good. Their secondary is not stopping anyone. You know, Steelers passed the ball all over them. Bills could do anything they wanted. I'm trying to remember who their third game was off the top of my head, but yeah, you know, Dolphins, Tyreek Hill was having a good game beforehand. Tua had a great game. Darren Waller came out of nowhere, was crushing them. So, you know, we're Jets right now defensively are concerned. I mean, they're definitely a team. Well, I'm sure James and I will talk more about this. Tampa. And yeah, Evans and Mbuka were quite fine that game. So I started out receiver. It's like I said, you know, Scattaboo or Genty both feel just fantastic, honestly. You know, Scattaboo had the 25 carries, 2 catches. Well, hopefully Jackson Dart will throw the ball more. He'll get more targets, you know, as the season progresses. But just that kind of carry and workload. I mean, Tracy's definitely out for another couple of weeks, it sounds like. And then even when he comes back, I think Scattaboo's shown more than enough to be the lead back. Do need to start getting some of those touchdowns converted inside the 5. You know, some people you know, are knocking them, but that happens to everyone. We saw Derrick Henry have trouble with that against the Lions a couple weeks ago. We honestly saw Jahmyr Gibbs against the Ravens have some trouble with that. So people overhyped that a little too much. Jonathan Taylor's definitely, you know, gotten stuffed multiple times as well. So, and he's the best back in the league right now. So Genty, Fields, Breece Hall, any of those, Tyler Warren. I actually really like Tyler Warren. Gave him a couple rushing opportunities, including a rushing touchdown. That's fun to see for his upside. And I'll get back to chat after I make this pick. Yeah, we'll go Genty or Hall. I think Hall's ADP is going to move way up. Like it's starting at 30. I think it started at 31 already. I think he's going to fly up. So yeah, I have no problem pulling Hall up here. Let's go check. Yeah, we'll see how long the Braylon Allen. If any of that injury news pops, feel free to drop it in chat. I saw the Lamar before it got on. Bossy Betsy almost made a lot of it. Yeah. And FK Coolers talked about Chase Brown's receiving. I know Meg did another bet with that. I don't think I did that one. And the Chase Brown portion of it hit, but we need a little bit more Sutton. Cam Scatteroo, yeah. Who would end up being the 101 next year at the season end of the day? Yeah. In our hearts, Cam Scatteroo. But no, Puka definitely should be, just from wide receiver standpoint. I mean, Chase is in play. Like, you can't expect Burrow to be hurt every year. I know it's kind of trended that way, but so we will go Dak here with the Pickens in fold, and then just need a tight end. Feel tight end's kind of flat after Warren and Bowers, to be honest. And I guess McBride, yeah, knew I was missing somebody. Cardinals offense, they are not fun to watch. Cat Candle's asking GM, good. Do you think it's worth the shot on Rashard White and Dog Bowls early in the week? Sounds weird because I'd heard some Tampa Bay beat writer report talking about White kind of gimpy after the game, but he didn't miss time as far as I recall, right? So how serious is it? If you know he's missing time, yeah, Rashard White would be awesome, especially in that format. But I just worry, what if he tries, if he's like, okay, like I'm going to play, but it's limited. And then, just in a tournament like Dog Bowl, like if Rashard White gets you 15 points, I don't care where you get him, 6th rank, there's not enough value there. It's a little different in like a DFS contest where, even if Bucky ends up playing but is limited and White gets you like 15 points, 18 points, something like that, like you might be fine. It's just, is White, because essentially you're trading like a tight end for an earlier running back, and is McBride going to vastly outscore these guys versus White outscoring, the Genties, the Scadaboos, the Brees Halls? I don't know. That's a bit of a tougher one for me. Now, if Bucky's totally out, then White is definitely in play. I guess the concern is Seattle is a good run defense. Also, probably have to do it more through the air. I already have. Just go Juwan Johnson. It's a bring back. Sometimes I wish we could take 3 running backs on underdog drafts. Yeah, no, I mean, me too. The consistency, the points, it's just easier to project, I feel like. We got a guy spreading here. We got Candyman in here. What's going on, guys? Still need that Duncan PPR Tyler Eliminator post. Fields will also move up. Yeah, Fields is, to me, clearly quarterback 1. Maybe if we get a full bill of health on Jaden, like he's in the mix. But honestly, Fields and Dak, like I like both sides of that. It is true. Yeah, Puka is looking incredible. Where do you think Neighbors gets picked next year? I can already see myself being heavily overweight. I mean, positive news is it was obviously a very early injury. Hopefully we get some clean, reports and everything sounds good. Because like what we don't want is, of course, the Brandon Ayuk situation where we don't have any good indication all throughout. I think, if they're saying that he's ready to start the year, yeah, probably limited kind of. I mean, Diggs has finally got his first hundo game. But I would guess, look, we were taking Rashee Rice because he was fully healthy in the 2nd round, 3rd round, and that was still with some risk of suspension looming. It's been generally minimized, but and he was coming off. I know it wasn't an ACL, so there's some differences, but it was a significant knee injury, and that's essentially the same time week 4. So I would say Neighbors is just too good, particularly if Dart continues to look good. I think Neighbors will still be a 3rd round pick. I'd be shocked if it's much later than that. A lot will determine like what kind of reports are we getting. yeah, like I said, if Dart looks good, it'll go. What's the solid advance rate? Like 15%, 20. So average would be 16.7%. So anything above that or anything above that, if you're at 15, like that's within the margin of error, right? And one team could flip you to being average. So to me, I'd try and shoot, I want to be 20, 25, ideally 30%. If you're, I think like 30% or above is like really good. But if you're 20%, I think you should be happy with being above average. We got Hulk Smash Potato saying, hey. Eddie saying, I got 3 limb teams left in, but only did 18. I wish and turn them into limbs. So what I'll say, Eddie, is that's a good rate. Like I have 3, I did 19. I have 3 left as well. That's above average. That's above average what you'd expect right now. I think you'd be, if I did the math, like we'd be expected to have one team left. So having 3 is good. Yeah, like Huhaim said, 16.7%. Does Deck play better at home than on the road? Deck does play better at home. There is no question about that. Hopefully it's good weather and everything. Hopefully nobody gets injured on that terrible field at MetLife. But I still think Dak is well in play. It's just a bad defense. Meg talked about this in a post she did on Twitter the other day. Like Cowboys kind of feel like Cincinnati last year, like terrible defense. They're always going to be in shootouts. They're always going to throw. There are some games where they just don't get there, like that Bears game, like just didn't come together. But they're going to have a lot of shootouts. Some they'll win, some they'll lose, some they'll tie, like they did against the Packers. But yeah, Dak at home is clearly better. But I think it's still very, very playable given just how bad the Jets have kind of looked. If she racers, does that bump him up or down, or that depend on how much she are doing? It's, I mean, I'm sure he will serve it this off season. Like at this point, nothing. Assuming he doesn't have any more mistakes, then there's not going to be any more suspension. We need 5 more weeks until we start making some money. But 2 of my limbs have Bijan out. So no, Eddie, the regular limbs. You should start getting paid out. They honestly should have paid out last week, but it should be this week where you get paid out for everything. Now, if you're talking the big limb, that's a couple more weeks, but the regular limbs, we're already making money. Oh, just in Braylon Allen likely to place an IR with a sprained knee. Since it's saying sprained, I'm guessing that's IR with the chance to return. That's my hope. So let's jump over to a battle royale. I will count this down. I'll get back to chat. I will enter this in 5 seconds. Entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. Let me see if any other news coming in. Yeah, boy, injuries are been brutal this year. Okay, so I just saw a RAP report likely place an IR with sprained MCL, expected to receive additional opinions. That's kind of murky, not great. The Lamar unlikely to play this week, could miss 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, boy, injuries have been rough. The big one. Yeah. No. Okay. Now I see what you say. Week 10 is a BR. I hope it isn't canceled. We got Brett in here. Brett from Underdog, correct. Slight issue with how they had the limb set up. Should have paid out week 3, but everyone still get what they have, and all should be fixed going forward. Appreciate that, Brett. Yeah. So we should start getting our payouts now, which is awesome. And yes, Eddie, hopefully we can get some teams going a few extra weeks. So in here, we got the Gale, we got Mike, the money 888. I'll take a chain. I mean, a chain, another one who should see his usage just go up. No Tyreek, and then playing Carolina. Carolina, who Ames and I will have a lot to talk about that game, I'm sure. Honestly, Carolina's defense, run defense wasn't too bad. They gave up over 100 combined yards, but it was like 3.9 yards per carry or something. They weren't getting smoked. It was more, their special teams, just across the board. Like Drake diced them pretty easy on under 20 attempts. So yeah, I don't mind this double tap of two receivers, JSN and Garrett Wilson there. Sometimes I think I did one like Wilson and Pickens. Like Barkley's fine there and Henry's fine, but I don't know. I will take Barkley getting back to me. Yeah, it is tough to click Chase right now. I mean, I know Chase had a big game with mostly Browning versus Jacksonville, but since then, it's been rough. He's getting okay targets, but they need to do something. So 2 running backs, so I can't take Saquon. That's the one downside about taking the 2 running backs early is you have like Saquon, Genty, and I think Breece Hall just totally great later. Not going to take Chase. I will take QJ. So yeah, I got Lamar out of my ranks. It's too bad for sure. And elite quarterback, that's the third one to now miss some time of the 5 kind of elites. Burrow at the most, Jane Daniels 2 weeks, Lamar probably 2 to 3 weeks. It's tough. That's definitely one of the reasons why 3 quarterback it's probably going to be the meta next year. I'm guessing that most people are going to push for 3 quarterback, even when taking elites, even when taking high quarterbacks. We've also seen Justin Fields miss time. We've seen Purdy miss time. Purdy might miss time again with the game this Thursday. He's questionable. And unfortunately, it won't be the last quarterback. So there's going to be other quarterbacks missing time. So, I will. I know the Panthers' offense has looked bad, but the targets are there from McMillan. I feel like they're going to start connecting a little bit better. He's had a couple drops. Some of it's Bryce Young, but it is a Dolphins secondary that's pretty bad. So I don't mind that, especially as a bring back to a chain. And that's a game with, to me, 2 bad defenses. I could see that getting some decent points. So this is a tougher build just because, I could go Herbert as a quarterback. Not really looking Bryce Young for the quarterback market. And Herbert's fine. Can't believe Genty's fallen to 27. Unless Eggers takes him here. I don't think that was a flash in the pan just against the Bears. I think Genty is going to, he won't dominate every single week. But, for as good as the Colts have been, their run defense hasn't exactly been shut down. Dobbins and company were solid against them a couple weeks ago. Iron was having a good game. So we'll take Dak paired with Ferg if he gets back to me. Let me catch up with chat. Wish I did more Superflex, just didn't have the time. Did 50 teams currently. Oh, that's a good advance rate. 8 more in striking distance. Yeah. So right now I'm only right with the puppy right out with the field. But I will say the heavy quarterback and even some taking some like backup quarterbacks, I think that's a longer term play. So I still feel pretty confident in my process, especially when, like some guys like Lamb out, Neighbors out, and guys like Chase kind of limited in their upside. I think the early quarterback is going to still be the right call there. Like for me, I have a lot of teams in like third, fourth, fifth place, but we'll see how that plays out. Also hope all is well. Been grinding, but hope the advance rates are feeling good. Appreciate Brett. I did want to ask, you may dabble in NHL best ball at all? So I've done both some NHL and NBA in the past. I mean, baseball I do a fair amount. NBA I've had more success than NHL. I have not really. I've done a couple NHL the last couple of years. Just haven't really had much success. Haven't had any time to do any this year. I know it's coming up on the season, so I'm not sure if I will. And yes, Mike has been trying to bully us into other sports. I did do a little college. But yeah, if I get some time, I will do some NHL. But yeah. Yeah, Meg answering there. All right, we are caught up in chat. Let's see. What do we want to let's do a night slate and then maybe come back to a battle royale. Menu change. Why can I not find Thursday night game? Give me a second. Main slate. Now, here we go. Primetime Palooza. Definitely missed it earlier. So we will do the Primetime Palooza $10 one, and I will count it down. I will be entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. So didn't get anyone in here, but I did want to do at least one of these. I don't generally do as much of the night slates. I like it a little bit more having the third game, the London game. Though this is a tough week with major questions with the 49ers. Even the London game is not as fun, I would say, with Cleveland versus Minnesota. Cleveland especially. When Cleveland comes back, I'm shocked. I thought Flacco would get at least half the year, if not longer. But he's looked bad. Cleveland's passing attack has not looked good. Judkins about the one positive on the team right now. And I mean, they've not scored 20 points. So, and I don't know if they're going to this week in London versus the Vikings. So, yeah, I'm pretty content. Actually, I will. Oh, I was hoping I'd get Puka. I'll take Josh Allen. Tough thing with McCaffrey. One, Rams have been better. But two, if there's no Pearsall, there's no Purdy. Sure, he's going to get a ton of volume, but everyone knows he's going to get the ball. On these, in regular Battle Royale, weekly contests, 6-man contests, I like going one quarterback, two running back, two receiver, one tight end. Here, I don't feel the need to push two running back near as much. We'll go Kyron. I know I just mentioned Judkins, but Judkins and Mason, I feel like both have a tough matchup against each other. Kyron's running the ball well. Last year he didn't get, or this past week he didn't get a touchdown, but I think he's fine. Mason had the volume. Cleveland is so tough right now. I'm going to pull up Diggs for the revenge game. Maybe would have gotten back to me, but I'd rather have that. Tight end feels a bit more fine. I mean, Bannon's been one of the few bright spots. Still get 6 targets. I mean, only 2 catches, but and Hawk, got decent targets in a very negative game script. Not sure we can count on that this week. Ideally, I will take one of Henry or Kincaid here. Yeah, I do like May as a later quarterback. Stafford, I think, is fine, particularly if you do get like Puka. But yeah, let's take one of these 2 tight ends, hopefully. Just get more receivers down the stretch. So Kincaid. Right now, we cannot trust a running back from New England. I feel like I'll take Addison. I know it was a broken play that he got the big shot on, but Cleveland's secondary is their weaker point. So take a shot there. Could say Judy with no Tillman, but it's just been ugly to start the year. Yeah, New England and Washington are 2 teams that are essentially using 3 running backs equally. So that is not ideal. I guess you could take a shot on like a Kendrick Bourne or Demarcus Robinson, get the revenge narrative of Demarcus Robinson. You got what? 1, 2 targets. Isaiah Bond will get more usage. I'll go Jerry Judy. I mean, I know he's going to get targets. Don't love it, but so that's my team. Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Diggs, Jordan Addison, Jerry Judy, Dalton Kincaid. Gotta get lucky in the touchdown wise. Hopefully Allen is QB1. And I think, like I said, I think May and Stafford are fine, but I would not want to be relying on the Vikings or Browns quarterback situation, and San Francisco, unfortunately, we don't know. So, it doesn't sound good for Brock Purdy, I imagine. Right, I think I will go back to regular Battle Royale, just better chance of people joining. Let me hit up chat. It's kind of doing this. I like the ones with 3 games, yeah. By the way, loving the 5 spot this week in Battle Royales. Chain Hampton team. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, 5 spot, 4 and 5 spot feel pretty good because you get somebody to fall. I did get one time at the 6 spot, I got Hampton there. That felt good. Can't remember who I pulled up. Yeah, Meg would have gone CMC and Josh Allen Jr. May. It's wild. After next week, we will be over 1/3 of our best ball regular season. Wilson is flying. It is flying by, yeah. Dobbins scores a touchdown. I went like, oh, yeah, that's tough. Sorry about that, Eddie. Yeah, and this is the other thing who Haynes brings up. And I mean, overall, I feel good about my advance rates and where I'm at. But, and I know who Haynesville kind of similar is like rookies in situations like this. Like we're expecting them to hit more later. Like it's great, Scadavu's getting the job done, or if Judkins was your guy, or Hampton and Genty having the breakout games that they did. But really, those were later plays. Same with some rookie receivers. Like Jaden Higgins just got his first touchdown. Hopefully, they start throwing to him more than Xavier Hutchinson, but the talent's there. And other young guys or guys coming off injuries or suspensions. Like, I have a good clip of Chris Godwin. Like, I knew, even late in the year, he was going to miss a couple weeks. But I was okay with that. Like, the upside is still there late in the season for that offense, et cetera. So, you just you don't want to be in 12th place, right? 11th to 12th spot. Like if you're in 6, 7, even 8, 9, like I think there's still plenty of time, but you do hopefully have to be in that range. All right, let's get another Battle Royale going. And I will get out of here at, right around 2:30. Just give me a little, maybe slightly after, giving myself a little bit of time before jumping on with Hames. Because those shows, we do go through every game, and that does, take a while because there's plenty to talk about. So I will count this down. So I'll do maybe 2 more drafts, talk some more. But let me count this down. Entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Who I'm saying I have 34 Superflex Puppy advancing teams. Oh, that's good. A lot more close. Hopefully I can be a real Superflex wizard, not just friend and Steve next year. But right now you're ahead of me in SF. My Thielen bags are hurting me. Yeah. Well, I mean, he was our go-to guy on 3rd down last week. Hopefully they just start utilizing him a little bit more. It's those later guys, though, only need a couple weeks to pay off. Against 0.22, yeah. Waiting on the Rashid Rice hammer. You don't need a break. Be here till 3. Appreciate you, best ball on call. All right, this one's starting. I got another 3 spot. We got Mike in here again. Don't recognize anyone else. So let's see what Mike gives me. I might, went over some advanced rate stuff yesterday with Meg, but had 2 games. Obviously, now we actually know. So maybe after this draft, I'll take a look at some things. I actually did the math. On Underdog, tracking like the marathon is tough because you could have a 2nd place team. You could have a 1st place team that might not even make the money if it's just a really low scoring draft, right? But you could have like a 5th place team in the money. We'll go Monroe again. I do just generally like getting that one of my receiver spots locked up early, since the secondary is bad. Like you do worry they stop throwing, but Amon-Ra seems to be the one guy immune to that into, limited targets or limited pass attempts these last 2 weeks against both the Ravens and the Browns. Amon-Ra still got there. think that will likely to continue no matter what the game script is. But so I looked, and to be cashing right now in Marathon, you need 490 point, I believe, 0.6 points in Marathon. So for anyone out there looking, you can look, what your team's in on the phone app, you can just see your score. You don't have to go into each one, which is nice. I believe I looked it up, and right now, currently, I'm cashing in 43 marathons. So that's a very good rate out of my 115, and like another 20 within 15 points. So if I lose some, hopefully I'd gain some and be right in that range. And to keep in mind, marathon, min cash is a double up. So with the overlay, you have a 22% chance to min cash, and you're actually doubling your money. So it's really, really strong. I think I'll get my receivers done. I mean, Monroe Pickens, that feels good. And I can catch up at running back. But the other thing with Marathon, I have 2 top 200 teams, and I think 4 in the top 5, 4 total in the top 500. So definitely some ones feeling good. I know Meg has one in the top 200, I believe, as well. So with Mike going 2 running backs, I know I will get Scatterboo here. We got Al in here. Al Boogie, what's up, people? Asking how we're looking on the limbs. So I have 1 big limb going still. Al, I only did 1. I did 19 regular limbs. I had 4 this past week. 1 lost by a point, but 3 advanced. So I got 3 left. How about you, Al? Hope you're doing well. QJ is haunting me. I should have taken him. All the camp news was scaring me. Yeah. I was taking him for a while in that in between when it started to look like Trey Harris wasn't going to work out too well. But then he got the concussion, and I stopped taking him the last couple of weeks because I thought, concussion like that, it was a bad concussion. I thought he could miss some early time, and so I just was very limited on him, unfortunately, down the stretch. So yeah, this is working out well, kind of similar, I think, to my first one, but I don't care. Breece Hall, Cam Scatterboo, Amon-Ra, and George Pickens feels real good. My BB ain't bad, 25%, but it sucks. Got neighbors on. Yeah. And sometimes it's like you still want as many advancing teams as possible, even if it's not going to be as strong for the finals run. Like that helps your total ROI. That helps. Maybe you're lucky enough and it's still a top 10,000 team. You get $100 or more there. And if you advance to the semifinal, you just never know. I mean, not having neighbors, sure, that sucks, but it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. So you still hope those teams make the playoffs. And let me make this pick, and then I will get back to chat. I mean, Hurts, I don't mind Hurts against Denver. I mean, there's at least a floor there. We know, he can run. Do I take Ferg over Dak? No, I think I got to take Dak. I get Ferg, great. But, especially with no Lamar this week, Allen not on the slate, Jaden, even if Jaden plays, this the other thing is like, is he 100%? Is he going to be running as much? I just don't know. Like it's his knee. he was running less when it was his ribs last year. Like knee, I think is even more concerning. So that would be another reason why, like a Hurts feels pretty decent. And also why, like, Mike took Goff. Yeah, I think Goff is definitely playable. I worry that they'll just stop throwing because since he's just so bad. But but Goff could deal 4 touchdowns easily. Do like a bounce back for Juwan Johnson this week. Not sure how I feel about the Darren Waller experiment. I know he got the 2 touchdowns. I know there's no Tyreek. Just don't know how much I trust it. I'll go Juwan. Steve, were you aware you're in second in Drafters Mini 2? Yeah. So I knew that going into last night. I had Jamar Chase. I think Chase maybe picked me up 1 more point. But yeah, I mean, just sucks to see Chase. You have Chase, and I only had to beat like Keenan Allen like 6.8 points or whatever it was. And you're just like, oh, Chase could just get me into first, right? Like a big, even an above average game. Let me see where I'm at. I think Chase ended up counting for me. So yeah, I'm 10 points behind. And Chase did not. He had 7.3. Oh, Keenan Allen at 8.7. That's what it was. So yeah, I need a couple more catches from Chase just to help me. But the big thing there was, I mentioned this on the show with Meg yesterday. I Jonathan Taylor. So that Adonai Mitchell, holding call cost me 11 points. I would be in first place right now if not for that. Henry versus Texans. How soon we forget he owns his team? That's a fair point. I mean, I definitely want some Henry for sure. Aaron Rodgers versus the Bears. QJ, the ultimate chaperone. It's crazy, but I like all the Chargers receivers against Washington this week. They do not. Washington's defense is having some major problems. I think that continues. Chargers are back home, and I think again another team like they went west to east for a 1 o'clock game. They definitely didn't show up. I'll talk about more through games in a little bit, but yeah, not great. All right, let's do one more draft. And we can talk a little bit before I jump off and get ready for the show with Who Games. We'll drop in the link before the show ends, but let me do one more Battle Royale. I'll count it down, entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Texans have held all their opponents this season to low points scored, but they do seem like they can be run on. Plus, Texans' offense is terrible. Yeah, that's the thing. Texans. I mean, every back has been at least okay against them. And Bucky and White were kind of combo. Kyron had a solid game against them. Even Pollard looked fine, and there was nothing else going on for the Titans. Like, Titans' offense is so bad right now. Pollard is a man of his own. So I do think you can run on him. And I just think Greg Roman and company there, or not Greg Roman, Todd Monken and company, they're going to have a game plan to get Henry involved. Has anyone checked on the clothes QJ is wearing? Not saying it's something off, but something seems off. Yeah, he's actually had a drop or two. He's had a couple drops, but yeah, not near what we expect. He's just looking better. Oh, we got our guy Legion in here at the 101. Rotosurgeon's in here. Miranda Wright's in here. Such a good name. But yeah, it's good to see Legion. I know he was in the chat earlier. Not sure if he's still here. And at the 5. So glad I didn't get any 6 spots, because I do want to be overweight if possible in these 5 guys. This is the other thing, Eddie. Like, one thing, like, Meg and I preach, not necessarily being the bi-week pros, but understanding, like, don't be, overly committed to 1 or 2 bye weeks, because you can really hurt yourself that way, especially once injuries pile up. This is, and I'm about 50-50, 3 versus 2 tight end. I'm sure most people are even more 2 tight end build. I'm definitely like 80% 3 quarterback build. I think that really comes into play here. This is an interesting one with Devonta Smith going 4th overall. Hopefully it doesn't get thrown out. We'll just take ASB. So where Miami goes, yes. But no, I mean, it does, like, people ignore it, but it matters. And it's one of those things, like, I don't think you totally avoid, like, too early bye weeks or anything crazy like that, but it does matter. We'll go JSN. Like, I think the volume bounces back. Tampa's secondary's played better this year. I do give him credit. I still think, I think JSN's going to get his. And I think he's a fine pick in this range. Still here. This is only my 2nd time doing a weekly contest this year. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it, Paul. Damn, thanks, Steve. What's the payout? So the drafters won them in 2nd place. It was $3 contest. Right now, 2nd place is $10K, but long season ago. And those contests are pretty top heavy. But it's nice to be up in that mix for sure. But no, bye weeks do start to matter as we just factor in things, and it's one of those things. If you can also look at your team, and, like, if you're like in 5th place, and this is a little bit more for the pod situation than marathon, though that plays into a little bit as well. But if you're like in 5th place, and say you get to like week 12, but you've already had almost all your buys, they're week 5, 8, 7, whatever, then you can feel good, because obviously probably more teams, and probably some of the teams ahead of you, are dealing with like the week 12 and 14 buys. So maybe you can make up ground. But it's also the reverse. Like, if you're ahead big and you have some buys coming up, you need to make sure you're ahead enough. Like, if you're in 5th place and you got, Jaden Daniels and as your quarterback, and some bunch of week 14 guys, like Christian McCaffrey or stuff like that, then okay, you might be in trouble, because you might not be able to make up the ground. So that's the other reason why you want to spread out, because if you just massively are overextended on week 14, whether you're in 1st or 5th, you could be in trouble. And even if it's like week 8, like, you could be in trouble if you just have a massive low score one week. That's what we always talk about, and just spreading things around. And do I go Scatterboo again? Let's see what Lots' son does. I'll take Tyler Warren here because I know Miranda Wrights is not taking a running back, so I know I'm getting Genty in 2 picks. Yeah, that seems to be the likely, when they said 2 to 3 weeks, I'm guessing they just probably figured, we'll just say the 2 weeks. So it's weeks 5, 6, he's out. Week 7, hopefully he's fine by then. No need to rush it. But that's the good news with the bye. Like if they didn't have their bye was later, then maybe he would need to miss all 3 weeks. So probably a fair bet he's back by week 8. Let's hope. Because as we saw last night, backup quarterback play is not fun to watch. And it hurts. Honestly, even though many Denver players got there, like they just stopped throwing, they were able to, and it hurt like Eddie, needing Dobbins more. If that was a closer game, Dobbins probably gets more carries, probably gets more opportunities. It's just, it got kind of out of hand. So they were able to get Harvey a bit even more involved. Same with like Mims getting probably more usage and stuff like that. Sometimes you need pushback. All right. So Miranda Wrights and I need a quarterback and probably a running back. I almost never go 3 receiver in these, so I can, he's not taking either of those, or they're not taking either of those, I should say. So we will queue it. Don't really have a great stack. Goff is fine. So we'll just go Hall and Goff. It doesn't matter which order. Assuming I can get Hall. My fallback. I don't hate Chuba Hubbard or Kamara. Woody Marks. We'll go Hall and get Goff. Yes, I get plenty of pushback when I trap with Meg, that is for sure. All right, this is the last one I'll do on stream here, but we'll talk a few minutes. Let's see if any more injury news popped up. That Braylon Allen, I have a decent clip of him, so hopefully it's just a few weeks. Don't see any updates right now. Let me drop in the link to Huhaim's channel. We'll be on in 25 minutes. To talk over all the games and all the injuries and everything else. So join us there for that. But let me take a couple minutes. I'll go over. I will. Yeah, I'm going to share the BBMD since that is updated now from the Monday games. just so we can look at a few things. So if you're not familiar with BBMD, it's such a great site. You can track basically every tournament. They need to get marathon and sprint in there, but they even got the Superflex in there. Now, I think they're missing like the MMG also, so that would be another one, but you can do the eliminator here. So here's mine. Might win over PPR Tyler, and here lost by less than a point. Like I said, needed a little bit more Cortland Sutton for this last matchup, but got 3 advanced. Hopefully they can make a little bit more of a run, get a couple more weeks, get some more money for the elim. For the leaderboard, I'm sitting at, I believe it's 23 out of 80, so 28%. And currently have 3 teams in the top 10,000. Nothing too high. Last week I had one like 130 hit or something like that, so that was really exciting, but definitely didn't have as strong of a week overall. But pretty happy with where my teams are. Have a number of thirds also, including a really high scoring third right here, 530 points. That is top 30,000 of all BBM. So a lot of thirds and fourths. So feel good about where I'm at with BBM. Only a handful of lower teams. We were talking Superflex earlier, a little off on that. I think I'm right at the field advancing. Yeah, 16.7, 25 of 150, but kind of the same. And I have a really high third place team, top 11,000 in this. Another one top 25, and these fourth, third. So hopefully some of these start hitting through. I think you can see a lot of, fifth and up. So I generally feel good where I'm at with my Superflex puppy. I mean, some of these teams are just obviously dead. Let's look at the lower scoring one. This is why 2 quarterbacks out with injury, and then Cam Ward just absolutely getting dusted. Connor, Pacheco, running backs for nothing. McConkey being awful. Calvin Ridley, Shakir, Kyle Williams. Oh, this is obviously done very early, but not a lot of points in that group. A lot of injuries as well, but generally feel pretty good where I'm at. Shout out any tournaments if you want me to look, or any questions about things. Another thing I wanted to mention, the sprint. So the difference, sprint and marathon both had overlay. Marathon, we already see what that overlay is because we can judge who the top 12,000 teams who are going to be in the cash, right? But the sprint, you can, first and second in every pod are advancing, and then there's going to be a bunch of wildcard teams. So right now, keep that in mind. Like, probably a lot of people will advance a handful of other teams. A lot of your third place teams, not a lot, but your third place teams, if they're scoring high, and that will be nice once we get like a true leaderboard to judge. That would be nice if BBMD starts having that. Let's catch up here. I think right now I'm advancing 31% of my sprint team, so I feel very strong about that as well. How long until Dylan Gabriel or Sanders takes over? If it's another bad week in London, could be right after that. Cleveland, boy, they let's look at their schedule. Let me bring up their schedule. And Brown's schedule. It does not look good, to put it lightly. So and here's the other thing is a lot of teams who go overseas, they get a bye the next week. The Browns do not. NFL, they hate the Browns, which I get. The Browns have not made them look good a lot recently, but they come back and they play the Steelers, who are coming off a bye week. So that is just not ideal. Steelers defense has looked a lot better the last couple of weeks. They get a bye. They're probably going to be without Jalen Ramsey, but it doesn't matter if no Browns quarterback can get the ball to a receiver. Then the Browns play the Dolphins. Maybe that's a win. I mean, if not for the Packers win, it would be real bad. I mean, and then the Patriots, Jets, Ravens. I mean, Ravens by then, Lamar and some other guys should be clearly back. Patriots are playing well. They're not winning every game, but they're playing well. Jets, I don't think are a great team, but I think could beat the Browns where we're at right now. So, you know, it's tough. In the next 6 games, maybe they get 2 wins. I don't like them yet. I don't think they should be favored against the Vikings. I mean, they have a generally easy schedule. Raiders after that, 49ers after that, Titans, Bears. I mean, these are games that they should at least compete in. I don't care how bad you are. You should at least compete in these games. But I just don't know how many they can actually pull away with a win. So, but I honestly don't know if Dylan Gabriel or Sanders are going to change that at all. Those Mims usage. Hey, Mims got a lot of targets, got the run last night. It's looking good. Go get a hot pocket. You don't need your strength. I'll be jumping off in a second. Did you see Emo Cowboy in 8th in the marathon? I just told him, no, I missed that. That's awesome. Chad Candles, I have such a horrible sprint advance rate. Got a lot of eggs in the wild card basket. Yeah, well, no, I mean, again, there were, I can't remember, I'd have to look it up how many, let me look it up real quick, how many sprint teams were not completed. Sprint. So only 42,204 out of so that means let's see, there were 55,800 that there could have been. Only 42,204 were actually done. So that's a weird number. So I think if my quick math, there should be about 2,266 wildcard teams for the sprint. So that's pretty good. Like, you should, if you did a lot, you should have a decent chance to get a couple through. But yeah, they need to be like 3rd, 4th place teams. A couple of dev teams only have 2 quarterbacks and both are hurt. Definitely see. Yeah. No, that definitely can happen all around. I mean, I know I rarely did 2 quarterbacks, but sometimes they were with Lamar and Daniels, and I wouldn't be surprised if like 1 or 2 of those were like a Daniels Purdy, meaning last week I had a 0. I haven't looked specifically at every single team, but that's why I am like 80% 3 quarterback. Love how Meg is in the chat with Steve telling us it's Meg. Yes, she does. Any big dog? I didn't do any big dog tournaments. I mean, if you're talking about like just higher dollar ones, I am advancing in like 1 bigger board, 1 Dalmatian. Let's see, 2 of my 4 bulldogs, 3 of the Chow Chows. I was advancing 5 going into last night, but just 3, so I'm very close in a couple. And then 6 of my 20 Huskies. So for the $40 and up, you're doing pretty well overall. I'll get out of here in a minute, but appreciate everyone joining me, doing some drafts, having fun, talking ball. I'll be talking a lot more ball 2 games coming up in 15 minutes. Don't forget to jump over there and join us as we go through every game. I need Shador to get a shot and Judy to wake up. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I do think Dylan Gabriel will get the first crack at it, but at this point, we could see both quarterbacks. So I will get on out of here. We can, probably going forward, try and find. Megan and I are talking about finding ways to like do better recaps and stuff, because we do some recaps on Monday, but of course things change. Even with one Monday night game, things can change. So we will try and find better ways to do some recaps for you guys, and just also have it a open conversation of what you guys are looking at. Like, happy to answer questions on if a team you feel is live or not, etc. So, but thank you everyone for joining me, doing some drafts. Good luck to you all this week in the dailies and everything else. We will be on tomorrow. Tonight, Spread and Tyler will be doing their show tomorrow. Degen Dads at night. Then Meg and I will be on Thursday afternoon, as always, for the Degen Power Hour. Friday we'll be on again for the prop show, the prop party with Tyler, and then Degen Dads will be on Friday night as well. So thank you all for joining us, and don't forget to check out our Substack. It is a one-time payment, $35.99 or $34.99 for a whole year. You'll get all the best ball content for a full calendar year. So all next best ball season, you'll get our betting picks. You'll get our DFS picks. You'll get our daily content. I'll be having my rankings, my Battle Royale rankings up tonight or tomorrow morning. So yeah, just one-time payment, and we appreciate everyone's support on Twitter, on YouTube, and of course our Substack, loyal Substack users as well. So thank you guys again, and I will catch you next time. Yes, hit the like on the way out. Appreciate it. Have a great one. I will talk to you guys later.